Hello, everybody, and welcome to the FinTech Summit LATAM 2020. My name is Luca Marchi, and today I have the pleasure to be here with you and Felipe Valdes, CEO of Tiaxa, and Ling Wu, founder and CEO of TBCASoft. Today, we're going to discuss about 5G and the new era in banking services. We all know that new technologies such as 5G will blur the boundaries between different industries. So, thanks to the support of these two leaders in the respective industry, we are going to discuss how new technologies, like also blockchain, will basically allow telcos to provide new services to generate new paths to revenues and to take advantage of transactions and markets that belong to different industries. Before we start, a little bit about myself. I work for IBM. Specifically, I'm part of the Center of Competence for Telco, Media, and Entertainment, where I lead our engagements in artificial intelligence and blockchain. So I have the opportunity every day to support telco and media companies in their process of transformation and in the creation of new business models. But this is enough about me. It's time to let the experts speak. So, Felipe, why don't you start? You introduce yourself briefly, and then you give us an overview about Tiaxa.
Great. Thank you, Luca. And thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Very excited. I'm here in Santiago de Chile, probably thousands of miles away from all of you, but joined together by this exciting event, FinTech in Latin America. Thank you, Frecuencia, for this opportunity. And again, my name is Felipe Valdes. I'm the founder and CEO of Tiaxa. I will share my screen now Are you seeing my screen, Luca?
Not yet. Give me a second. Okay, try now.
Okay, now it's working.
Okay.
Luca, can you please let me know when you can see it?
We can now. It's working perfectly, so you can start.
Great. So today I'll be talking about identity and mobile behavior, which is one of the main areas of the company here. As I mentioned, I co-founded this company a long time ago when I had hair on my head. This was in the year 2000, before the dot-com crash. And we're a company that's always had technology at its DNA. We were the first MVNO in Latin America, a data MVNO, and the second company to receive investment from SoftBank in Latin America. This was a different SoftBank than we see today, but it is Masayoshi Son nonetheless. And unfortunately, we were about 10 years too early with the MVNO, but we developed a lot of technology that led us to where we are today. And just to go quickly through the steps, we used integration to the multiple carriers that existed in Latin America. At the time, it was 56 operators across all the countries, and they all had different brands. Unlike today, where Telefónica and América Móvil have about 75% market share, we integrated to all of them in what was the internet of the time, which was SMS and WAP and Brew. Some of those are historical words that go in the history books today, but back then they were very exciting new trends. And we used this technology finally to make money by integrating mobile operators to value-added services. And we did so in the charging and rating space. And that went quite well. Our big customer at the time was BellSouth, and then Telefónica acquired BellSouth and took us throughout Latin America. And in 2010, we were seeing how to expand the business, and we saw that we were sitting on a mountain of data. We were processing about 1 billion transactions a month, But most of those actions we had to stop because of imbalance from prepaid phone users. And we started to look at the data. This was, 2010, so it was, early days of 3G in our region, I would say. And people trying to do now things over data, connect on the internet, and their billing systems did not have the flexibility that was needed to bring these new products and groups of products onto the market quickly enough. So our software was enabling them to do that. And when we looked into the data, we saw that the prepaid users zero balance for more than 15 days a month. This was a surprise to us, but what was even more surprising was that it was a surprise to the mobile operators. The mobile operators saw that blocking a prepaid transaction with insufficient balance was a normal functioning of the system, and they did not see it as an opportunity. But we saw that a user being out of balance 17 days out of the month clearly was an opportunity to generate more revenue, because he must need to make a call or to connect to the internet in the interim. So we said, let's lend them money, which of course seemed like a crazy idea because we were a technology company, not a financial services company. And the first thing we did was to go to FICO and ask them to give us a scoring algorithm. And they said, what information do you have? And we said, well, we know everything about the user. We know how they top up, how much they load, if they use, who they to, what data. And they said, no, about the user. Do you know their name or where they are, or if they have a job? I said, no, we have no idea. We don't know anything about who they are from the traditional KYC. Didn't give up, and we invented our own algorithm in 2010, and we took it to the CEO of Telefónica at the time, Luis Miguel Gil Pérez, who was a very visionary man. And he got it immediately. And he said, look, you guys believe in your scoring algorithm? Go for it. Here's Latin America. And we signed a contract for all of Latin America with them and ended up deploying what was Telefónica's first credit service for prepaid users throughout the region. It was also one of the first telco credit services in the world. And it was built on our own solution. And to what we're talking today, I mean, today the world is very different, right? We don't have all these you go for expensive data plans. The world changed. I mean, mobile carriers, following the example of Reliance Jio in India, have made access to data very simple. And no longer do you have to pay by kilobyte. You buy like a week of service or a month of service. Super cheap, right? The value of data, the cost of data has come down about 95% in the last 6 or 7 years. And what we have done over these 10 years, we learned about the value of the information that leave on telco data, and the value mostly for the financial services vertical. I mean, in the world, obviously, everybody has a phone, and not everyone is banked. Actually, the gap is huge. And in the main market where we're working with this product, which is Mexico, we have found that there are 35 million people that the Bureau says are thin file or no hit, which means that the financial institutions really don't know who they are because they have left a financial history of relationship with a financial institution. So they haven't opened and closed accounts, they have not defaulted on loan payments and things like that. And what we've really done, which is a breakthrough, after having underwritten about $2 billion of loans in 21 countries for the mobile operators, is that we've learned the power of the telco data. And first of all, I mean, a myth that I want to, get rid of is telco is not equally for everyone. For example, in credit reporting, there's a segment which is where telco data is really valuable. It's the top of the bottom of the pyramid. So it's not the bottom of the pyramid. Everybody who's just under those people are banked. Once people are banked and they leave a financial footprint, the telco data can generate uplift in the prediction curves a little bit, maybe 2 or 3%, but not a significant amount. But for those people that are thin file, meaning the fintechs, the internet platforms, payment companies, only know their name, maybe an address, but they don't really know if they've defaulted in the past. That's where this information is incredibly valuable. As I mentioned, based on experience of $2 billion underwritten and loaned, and on over 17 POCs that we have carried out with different banks and fintechs and payment companies in Mexico, Colombia, and Brazil, and actually, we have seen that the uplift can be from between 10 and 25%. And this is the uplift in the curve of being able to classify good users from bad users. That's what we're focused on today. And we're excited with 5G because 5G will bring so many more services, be making them available. You'll get much more bandwidth, but also at a lower cost and with high battery, low power consumption at the terminal level. So I think it's really going to be a democratizing force that will further push the connection through mobile for the world. Back to Tiaxa a little bit. Our presence is Latin America and Southeast Asia primarily. We're running some projects in China as we speak. We were recently selected, the only non-Chinese company selected by one of the three main carriers there to do credit scoring for their handset finance program. We're working with a lot of different interesting mobile operators, banks, financial institutions, and with the United Nations, among other international groups that are interested in financial inclusion, which is where we do most of our work. And as I mentioned, we have several lines of business. The two middle ones here are the ones that I spoke about, what's called normally time credit. We call it nano credit because it's really lending a tiny bit, less than $1 a time, millions of times a day to millions of people. We have the data and analytics part, which is what brings us here today in terms of scoring and bringing more people into the financial services. But we also continue to have our transactional systems with telcos, and we have a very really growing digital transformation area here as well. Going a little bit more into detail into identity and mobile behavior, we see that this kind of information is really being taken seriously recently. The pandemic has really helped us in this respect, meaning that banks, fintechs, and platforms are really using alternate data because their processes for onboarding and scoring and default prediction are all becoming virtual because of the pandemic, right? They're banks and these institutions, people need credit, people need financial services, but now they're really unable to go to the bank branch. And so everybody is really, accelerating their digital transformation budgets. And we see them moving very strongly into this area, which is really exciting because it really works. And we have some concrete data about that. At the same time, though, however, fraud is really going through the roof for the same reasons. So we're in an exciting time where the market is really taking off and it's being very useful, both for the general public, for the companies, and also for the people who are doing fraud. But back to the telco data, you see that people, you can tell a lot about people that you used to be able to see and receive in the local bank branch and do the KYC personally, sign contracts, and they're received by your local agent who knew you, so they could tell that it was you by looking at your face. Well, now you have to do it remotely, and you look at a lot of other technologies. A lot of them don't need 5G, obviously, for knowing phone activity, who talks to who, how long has the customer been a customer, where the location is, what kind of phone they have, their behavior on social networks, that kind of stuff. But that can give you a very good general impression about the person. And it can give you a general impression to improve KYC, to detect fraud, and also for many other applications of mobile behavior, what people do when they're on their mobile phone, where they are when they're on their mobile phone, when they generate transactions in financial institutions. Is the phone where the transaction is actually happening, and use cases like that. All of these are being dealt with now. This is a little bit about the context of Tiaxa. So we help the fintechs and the banks connect to the telcos and other sources of data. We're a specific model, which built upon data that comes from the operator. Some processing is done you can comply with GDPR rules. And as I mentioned, it really works. Here we see one example. This is a real fintech, quite well known in we were able to 5 data exclusively from telco data. We were able to increase their classification of good and bad customers by 12%. And the really cool thing is that the top 2 variables here were their history. So the top variable that was not existing history of the customer were telco. I guess this is a customer which is looking at that users is telling about, right? This is not a bank, somebody that's going after people that have thin files. But telco data performed really well and allowed us to classify users very well. For fintechs in particular, there's another thing that when the fintechs that actually are really serious about going to this new segment, it's very important to look at how biased their artificial intelligence models and things are like that. A lot of people talk about doing a lot of deep learning, machine learning, but at the end of the day, they end up lending to the customers that are already banked and that are in the bureau. But for those that are really doing work to access new customers for really, with new data, they have very biased models. And so telco data is a very good way to bring back customers that you may be rejecting because your models are too biased.
Yeah.
And finally, I have another success case here. This was in China with China Mobile and a local fintech. And the cool thing here, we were able to predict 86% of the positive customers just using telco data. So this is a different kind of test. The fintech was using traditional data, and there's a lot of data in China about people, but they did not have telco data. And so the challenge here was only to take telco data and see how many good guesses we could do. And we got it right 86% of the time. So again, it just goes to show you the power of the data. So this is my general presentation. I'll be happy to answer some more questions later about 5G and how we expect it will affect a lot of the industry.
Thank you,
very
Felipe.
much.
Ling, up to you now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So let me start share with my screen.
Okay.
Give me one. Okay, so when we are waiting for the upload, let me do a quick introduction to myself. My name is Ling Wu. I'm the founder and CEO of TBCASoft. With TBCA stands for Telecom Blockchain Alliance Software. So in the next 10-15 minutes, I'm going to share with what we are talking about the third carrier network revolutions. So can you see my screen now?
Not yet. It's loading, so it will take a few seconds. If you can just go ahead in the meantime.
Okay, all right. So telecom has gone through several revolutions, from fixed line to mobile network. Felipe just mentioned that actually the world has changed a lot. The fee keep dropping when we are facilitating more data exchange. So what will be happening to the telco globally other than 5G? We think that blockchain gives us a brand new opportunity. Blockchain is a distributed technologies. You cannot find a ubiquitous service that is distributed, served by multiple entities other than telecom. If you're talking about Facebook, Amazon, Google, they were totally centralized. But telco isn't. Telco, by default, is not centralized. So that's what we are going to talk about. Are we able to see the slides now?
Ling, the slides were not showing. Can you try again? Maybe
okay,
the second time we're going to be live.
Okay, yeah, maybe we have some technical difficulties. All right, I think we are seeing that.
Yes, now we're seeing them.
Okay,
So
great.
please go ahead.
All right, I would do the slide view for now. Okay, so fintechs as a service. We think that after voice and data exchange, the next one that telco can deliver is trust. Felipe mentioned about identity. Telco has a lot of data. So what is the service that needs most data? Financial services. In the past decades, we have seen these companies growing very fast. If you think Google grew very fast, you are wrong. Apple is higher, Facebook higher, and Amazon is even higher. However, in the meantime, we see global telecom, their ARPU, which is average revenue per user, keep going down. We only have the data to 2016, but it's not a regional issue. It happens in North America, it happens in Asia. In Latin America, you can see it actually drop a lot because the world is changing. So, however, in the meantime, telecom together is providing more and more better services, shorter latency, high bandwidth. How does it do? In the meantime, the rise of the big tech, they are entering to financial services. We see Apple doing the Apple Pay, Google do the Google Pay, Amazon, they also have their own payment. However, when we do the survey, actually people do not have a trust to those big tech because they're too big. They might have other motivations. We see Facebook try to launch a payment services in Latin America, but there was some resistance that reflect this uncertainty. So we have a vision to talk about a trust not built by one company, not built by one company in US, not by a company in other countries, but it's a group of companies distribute to different countries. We commonly build a trust. So that's telecom. So SoftBank, Telecom, and TBCA, we founded a consortium called CBSG, Carrier Blockchain Study Group. We want to leverage the new technology to provide much better services for you. So payment is one of them. Next, I want to talk about a success case of SoftBank Telecom happened in Japan. So you can see the red line that before 2018, actually, SoftBank as a telecom, they have a wallet service called SoftBank Wallet. But however, not many people use that. In 2016, when I was talking to SoftBank Telecom CEO, we want to enter this business. He thinks that's a great idea. So we have been preparing. So they launched a service called PayPay. Within 14 months, they grew from 0 to number 1 in Japan. In Q1 2020, they have 25 million users and 1.9 merchants, only within 14 months. As Felipe mentions, telecom has a lot of data. So they are not just a payment. They are planning for all different things, including loan that Felipe was talking about, different services. So they call super app. It's a super app that user can use their mobile phone to do almost everything they are doing today. You don't need a physical wallet. You need a digital wallet, and you need someone who you can trust, which is your telco, versus other company. But so that you have a gatekeeper for them to provide the services for you. So right now they become the number 1. What is the next? So they want to connect them more. Right now, PayPay, this service in Japan, user in Japan can use in the merchant. But what happens when you go out of this network? Do people need to use different applications for different services? So we introduced a service called HiveX Mobile Payment Network. What problem does it try to solve? This one. I took a picture in 2018 in one of the stores in Japan. That shows the different number of payment they can accept. So you may use one or two of different payment. You need to look for your logo to see if they accept. When it goes to 2019, you got more. So lots of, and the real estate for logo becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. It's fragmented. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. It happens everywhere. So what we're doing is we introduce a network called HiveX. So either telco or different payment, they join for this network. So when you go to somewhere, it's not covered by your own network. You're looking for another logo called HiveX. Hive, like a beehive, is a cell. When you connect many cells together, it becomes a beehive. So that's what we were doing. Remember, we were talking about 14 months after SoftBank launched the payment service. They have 1.9 million. Now they have 2.3 million merchants accepting the payment already. It's more than Apple Pay within 14 months. That's the power of a telecom when they committed to enter the payment service, about how fast they can do. Okay, so what have we been doing in 2020? We'll be launching the service very soon. That a bunch of Taiwan mobile payment providers, they work together with PayPay, so all the Taiwanese people, they can use whatever the wallet application they like. They go to Japan, they can use PayPay's 2.5 million stores. In Japan, vice versa, they have 30 million users already. When they visit Taiwan, they can use any one of them. So that's our vision of the payment network should be. Just like in making a phone call. When you make a phone call, you don't need to ask the other party which telco service you are. Doesn't matter what telco you're using. Once I have a telephone number, I can call you. Same thing. I don't really care this store supports what payment system, which I just want to pay you. Okay, a little bit similar, the concept of what Visa is doing for credit card. You may use Bank of America credit card, but when you go to the merchant, that merchant may use Chase Bank, or it is in Japan, Mizuho Bank. I don't care. As long as they are all connected to Visa network, I can make the transaction. That's what should be happened in mobile payment. So this is a very simple scenario that we work together between SoftBank and Sprint before Sprint was merged into T-Mobile. A Sprint user go to Japan, they carry their own application. They don't need to go to Japan to download the local application, which they are not familiar with. They use that to make the payment. And behind the thing, we building a clearing and settlement system so they can do that. Very important, this is the only slide that is very technical for today. Instead of many blockchain, they're using cryptocurrency, for example, Libra. Unfortunately, that they got some resistance by different regulators. We decide to use blockchain to synchronize data only. We are making an immutable ledger between multiple parties. So there's no dispute. And because of the blockchain, because of telecom identity, we can eliminate 99% of the fraud. So we provide very, very clear data between all the participants. Once you move money, we can go to the bank to do the final settlement. So that is the way that HiveX blockchains handle this business. And this model is perfect to regulators. I tell them we are just a database, except we are very reliable and there's no dispute. And the way we leverage 5G technology, Felipe mentioned, most people don't need 5G. I think that's true. But how do we leverage that? 5G has very, very short latencies. So when you want to make transaction, you want latency to be very short. So we can utilize that. Okay, so far so good. We have very successful launch in Asia Pacific. This coming year, so we are working with IBM in North America and Latin America. Last, I want to talk about mobile payment post COVID-19. Again, the world changed a lot after COVID-19. I just talked to Luca. I broke my record that I stayed in California for 4 months without traveling at all. So we all stayed at home. We do this conference, thousands of miles away between Felipe, Luca, and me. So many things become contactless. Okay. So IBM and TBCASoft, we actually had a very good paper that worked together. Luca was also part of it. We see that contactless payment is being highly expected from the customers, and telco holds the best positions to offer that. It applied to North America, it applies to Asia, it also applies to Latin America. So we would like to help the Latin America market to move to the next generation of the mobile payment